Welcome to Inform Nerd, where we find Jesus in everything, especially anime.
That's right. That's right.
We had some audio issues with the last live, so we had to start over. So if you know of somebody that was on, invite them, please. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about SIMPS. This is a topic brought to you by my boy Andrison. So thank you for the idea. We put a few things together for you guys today that we want to discuss. And as always, we're starting with our anime example. For those of you that watch anime, I think that simps are not scarce in anime.
Not at
we
all.
have people like Sanji. What's the Demon Slayer guy?
Zenitsu.
It's Anitsu. We got Master Roshi.
Rock
we got
Lee, Jiraiya.
bunch of dudes. And I mean, it's reality. We got simps out there in real life. And unfortunately, we also got Christian men that are simping. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But before we start with that, let's talk about our boy Sanji for today. Now, Sanji, for those of you that are not familiar, he is from One Piece. And he is our womanizer. I mean, this guy looks at any woman and just like melts. He's like...
Is he like Brock from Pokemon?
Pretty much. That is. I'm mad that we didn't come up with him as an example.
I know, we should have.
So anywhere that this man goes, he sees women and he just automatically falls in love with them. He can't help himself. If you are watching the anime, you will see that he just can't focus on anything but women and food. Like, those are like his things, right?
That's it, yeah.
He tends to be like kind of a little bit of a gentleman. He tries to defend their honor and things like, oh, I'm looking at you like what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, like, off of what you're saying,
I forget that Andre Song is an infidel. He doesn't watch One Piece.
I mean, you bring me back to like Inuyasha with Moroku. He's the same way, where he'll run up to women and be like, hey, I'm part of this cursed clan that I'm gonna die, so have my children so my legacy can live on.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Dude, like 5 seconds in the conversation, he's like, I need you to bear my child. I'm like, yo, this dude's wild.
Michael says that Sanji is worse than Brock. I would say so. I think that any episode that he sees some type of lady, he's just like throwing himself at her, trying to cook for her, trying to like...
Well, I mean, at least he's bringing something to the table, right? He's cooking at least.
Yeah.
Not like most of these other guys, they ain't doing nothing.
A lot of men that behave in this way, women too, but men, we see a lot of men. We're gonna be talking about men.
I mean, I've heard of a couple of girls that have purchased people that I know a PlayStation 4 as like a way to win them over.
Yes, things will get you their heart, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Material items.
But part of this, and so one of the things that we're gonna be getting into is self-respect, right? A lot of men that tend to simp over women, they have absolutely no self-respect. They don't respect themselves as individuals, right? And they almost glorify, right, the opposite sex to the point of, I don't want to say God level, but at least they look at women in such a way.
It's like, oh my God, it'd be amazing if I can capture you if you were to be the one. I would go as fair to say that you're right, saying it's almost like a godlike status because you're willing to act outside of your regular behavior to try and win the adoration of this person.
Yep. Yeah. Mike says, perfect example, lifting chairs at church to show the women you got strength.
When you got like 50 chairs on with you right there.
There you go, getting some points, showing the strength.
Yeah.
No, that's true, but I've seen this in my life. I've met men that literally like their whole life surrounds around women, trying to get women. A lot of them don't tend to be very successful at it, but it's like this is all they think about. This is like their purpose for being. It's just women are trying to get a girl. And I've seen that those that end up with a girl, it's almost like they just disappear. At that moment, it's like they're so focused, 100% is just on this woman.
I mean, well, it depends too, right? Because it could also be that the type of girl they're chasing after is then making them, okay, you want me? Well, you got to do this, and this, and you can't have these friends anymore. So there's so many different ways. It's like being a simp is so much more than just, okay, I just achieved the girl, but it goes off farther into the relationship too.
Why is it a problem for Christian men to be simps?
Bro, that's not what we're called to be, man. Like, no, like honestly speaking, like, and this is not
or women,
exactly
women, as Mr. Chetty is calling them.
Yeah, girls can definitely be simps, but this is really more of what I'm trying to hit, right? Like, we are first and foremost made in the image of God, so that means there's supposed to be a level of self-respect for each other, number one. And so with that, when we understand our own self-respect and what we do, we're supposed to react, behave in certain ways, and not the whole like, women are supposed to subject themselves under men. Actually, that's not what the Bible says. It says that the wife, subjects herself under the man, but then the man's supposed to love the wife. But we're not talking about that today. I just feel like people put themselves in these situations. They react and behave in certain ways that are just not okay. Like for example, the type of guy that will always say yes to a girl. Never say no at all, even though it's something that may bother him.
You gotta inch a little bit.
Am I? Oh, you want me to get closer? Okay.
Well, you have to, so they can see you in the
video.
In the video.
No, but like that's one example. I mean, I have my own personal simp stories.
Oh.
Hey, man, you start somewhere, but God redeems and God changes.
Careful, bro. Your wife's going to watch this after, so
we'll be
tread lightly.
No, but it's like that's really what comes to mind. A guy that will always say yes, even to things he doesn't like. A guy that will never really put any pushback for the fear of making the other person, or making the girl in this case, unhappy.
Well, a lot of the times, a lot of these men end up being in relationships where ultimately they end up getting used more than anything else. You're not gonna find someone that respects you if you're not respecting yourself. If you're not working on yourself, and that's what we see a lot of. We see a lot of young men coming up where they haven't even considered what it would be for them to truly be a man, and yet they're looking for a girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think about, just saying to somebody younger, all right, you want to be a girl's boyfriend, a fiance, husband. What are you bringing to the table? And not in a super red pill, you got to be multi-million, none of that crap. But it's shit, what life experience.
Now remember, we're talking about Christian men, right?
Exactly.
So the purpose of dating and courting a woman is for marriage, right?
Exactly.
So it's a very different perspective.
It's not just dating just to date.
Yeah.
But it's to the guys that want to get married, that want to start dating, it's what qualities are you bringing in that show you to be a Christian leader? Because God calls us as men to be leaders, right? Maybe it's not a church. Maybe God might be calling you to be a leader of a small group. We don't know what your call is in life, and this is something for you to assess. But there should be some type of leadership quality in men.
And the first question is for you, the Christian men that are out there, that are just always just thinking about relationships and women, and what is your purpose in finding this girl that you want so bad? I've talked to young men that I ask them well, why do you want a girlfriend? And all they can come up with is, because I don't want to be alone.
That's scary.
No,
that's scary.
That's not a good enough reason. You're lonely, so you just want that other person. It's just
and this is not to say
there's no purpose behind that.
Yeah. And this is not to say, right, it's not that we're dismissing the fact that some guys may feel lonely, but it's what does the Bible say? When we rely on our heart is very deceitful.
Yeah.
So when we rely on certain emotions like that, we kind of get ourselves into situations, right? Not really kind of. We definitely get ourselves into situations. So there are certain emotions that God maybe has us go through to develop our own character to be stronger, male or woman.
Well, the thing is that once you start just looking for a mate or somebody else just because you're lonely, you're prone to make so many mistakes. Because at that point, you're just, I don't want to be alone, so I'm just going to go find somebody. Like, where are your criteria? Like, what is the future that you're looking for? Is it just not to be lonely? Because, I mean, that's where all the troubles and come in. Because at that point, if you don't have, like, a future focused mindset, then how are you going to be asking those right questions to know whether that person is right for you long term?
Yeah.
That's why you end up with people that are in relationships, they get married, and 6 months later, they're getting a divorce because they're like, well, this is not the person that I married. Well, you never met the person to begin with.
Yeah. If you're lonely, go join your church's small group.
Right?
Just saying.
Fellowship with Jesus a little bit.
Exactly.